y'all, it's Kay from the Literary Apothecary and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different and I'm going to talk about what my perception of the difference between beta reading, proofreading, and editing. I have gotten a couple people that have asked me the difference between the three, and so I thought I would do a short video on it. I have, as some of you may know, I have Fiverr Gigs for each one of these different things, different processes in the writing book process. And so I will link those in the description below too. If you're an author and you want to check into my services, go ahead and check those out or message me if you have questions. Or if you're just interested in learning the differences, welcome, and I hope this helps you out. Please keep in mind that this is just my idea of the differences. Everyone has their own ideas of what a beta reader should do versus a proofreader versus an editor. This is just how I try to approach things when I get gigs for these different services. But I'm also very flexible, and so I tend to just go with whatever the writer needs. Also, if it's a writer that I know or a writer that I've become friends with or very familiar with through the booktube world, I may add in some extra services in the beta reading just to be a little bit more helpful towards friends. But for me, beta reading is you're reading the manuscript. Sometimes it's finished, sometimes it's not finished yet. I obviously prefer a finished manuscript over a non-finished one because then you get the whole story and it's easier to relay your thoughts on the story. So beta reading is looking at basically big picture things. Are the characters good? Are they developed well enough? Are they complex enough? Does the plot move along? Are there any big holes in the plot? Is the pacing okay? That kind of thing. Tone, those kinds of big picture things. Now, the time that beta reads happen is different for each author. When I first started these services, I thought that beta reading came kind of after an editor has gotten their share done and before it goes to publishing, but I've learned that a lot of writers like to use beta reading even before it gets to an editor, which makes it hard for me sometimes, depending on the writing, because my brain is so editor focused that I see all of these errors, typos, and incorrect grammar, and I just want to correct them all. But that's not the job of the beta reader. The beta reader is there just to do big picture things, and so sometimes it slows me down, but I try not to let it. The proofreader is there to kind of come behind the author and fix up all of their easy mistakes. Their typos, their easy grammar mistakes. Oftentimes it's, those things that Microsoft Word will do the yellow squiggly or the red squiggly underline for. Things that are easy to spot. Sometimes, inconsistency if you switch character names accidentally. A proofreader can check for those, but usually it's very, very basic editing, just typos and comma placements and that kind of thing. Once you get into the editors, now there's some writers will use different types of editors. There's editors just for the prose, the grammar level, and then there's developmental editors who will look at your content and see what needs to be fixed to make it better story-wise. I tend to kind of mix the two when I'm doing my editing. Oftentimes when it gets to me, it's already gone through a developmental editor and it just needs that kind of copy editor look over. But I am always looking to try to help writers and improve their craft. So I tend to go in with kind of a copy editor, content developmental editor mindset, even if it's already gone through a developmental editor. I'm working on a project right now that I know has gone through developmental editor. I know the author is kind of meticulous about her writing and will has already read through the manuscript several times to check for obvious mistakes. I now have the manuscript as a copy editor, and I still, even though I know that it has already gone through a developmental editor and I haven't found any big mistakes that would be in developmental errors, I am still on the lookout for those, just so that way if I do happen to notice them, I can tell the writer and she can make those fixes. I have another gig going right now, another project with a different writer who's I knew from other books through BookTube, and his manuscript hasn't gone through any other editors yet. So I've got fresh eyes on it. I'm going through and making all of those commas, either adding commas in or taking commas out, making sure that everything is consistent throughout, accents are there if they need to be, spacing is consistent, just making sure everything is as consistent as can be. And that is more of a deep dive into editing. And then I've got a beta read project going now that is kind of looking at this manuscript big picture wise, obviously, but also in my Fiverr gigs, I provide the writers an opportunity to let me know of specific things that they are concerned about with their manuscript. And this writer has given me a whole list of different questions to answer once I finished reading through his manuscript. So that is a little bit more in-depth beta reading than some other projects that I've done. Some projects, you know, the authors just want those big picture items to be looked at. And other authors, like this one, wants to know very specific questions about their book. And a lot of the questions that they provided were questions that I would normally answer in my feedback after a beta read anyways. How is the flow of the story? How are the characters? Do they developed enough? That kind of stuff. But some of the other questions dig a little bit deeper into the book. So I am going to be sitting there with the manuscript as I read it in the list of questions and jotting down notes as I come across answers to these questions. But anyways, as I promised, this was just a really quick video on my perception, my idea of the differences between beta readers, proofreaders, and editors. Like I said, if you're an author and you're interested in my services, go check out my Fiverr gigs or send me a message. Either way, if you're just out there and you have more questions on the differences or you want to know how it's done, feel free to send me a message. I'm usually available for messages. I might not reply back right away depending on what's going on, but I'm usually pretty quick at responding. So let me know what kind of questions you have, or just add them down in the comments below. So that's it for now. As always, my Patreon and my Discord information will be in the description below, along with those Fiverr links. Keep reading, and I love y'all to the moon and back. Bye.